Welcome everybody to this week 2 of the Automation Mastery Hub. Let's get started. Okay. Today class we're going to talk about Excel automation. Please, if you are not seeing my screen, just make use of the chat. Send me message, and or you have any question along the way, and I will reply. Okay. If you have any question, use the chat, send me message, and I will reply. Okay, because I want us to make sure let's cover what we are supposed to cover so that we can have little time to discuss on the assignment. You understand? Some of us that struggle to do it but we couldn't get it, we'll do it together in the class. That is if we have time. But if you don't have time, I think I will just add it in the replay. Okay, so send me message. Now, the first thing we're going to discuss, let's start with what we did last week. We talked about UiPath intro. I believe by now, those of us that have our system with us, we've installed UiPath. If there's anybody still struggling with installation of UiPath, please, the person should just indicate by sending me a message. Okay. Then we discuss introduction, UiPath intro. We talk about RPA intro, what RPA it is all about. We discuss what UiPath is all about, the introduction to UiPath. We discuss how to install it, and we navigate through the intro. I also sent some terminologies like workflow, process, boards, the term they use in RPA. Then we discuss what UiPath is, that UiPath is a tool for RPA, robotic process automation. Then we design a bot that type in Notepad. Okay. We design a bot that type in Notepad. Then I gave assignment that you should design your own bot that type in Notepad. Instead of saving directly by clicking on file, save as, you just use your own bot should use shortcut. You understand? Shortcut. That is what your own bot should use. I don't know if a lot of us we are able to do that. I gave hints on how to achieve that, the activity. So we did that, and I believe we are all on the same page. Please, if you are not following, if anything I'm saying is new to you, then you can type. Then there is a particular part that we did not discuss in Recorder, which is Recorder Basic, Recorder. You understand? We did not discuss about that, but I demonstrated. I did something like that. I think I mentioned it in the replay, but we're still going to go back to that because it's something we'll be using almost every day. Okay, so these are the things we discussed last week, and I believe we all, those of us that participated in last week's class, I believe we understood perfectly, and everything is that everything is going well. Okay, so let's proceed. Like we said, today class we're going to talk about Excel automation and data scrubbing. Now, when we're talking about Excel automation, we are just trying to tell you that everything you do in Excel, you can actually automate it. If you're a teacher and you want to record students, when to pass them, when to read pass or fail, when to do that, you can use all the calculation you perform manually. You can design a bot that will do that for you. Now, website, if you are the type, let me say for example, what is these people that used to copy product and sell? What is this their name again? Forgotten their name, that they will go to Amazon, pick product, take it to their website. If you are that type, yeah, you wanted to say something. It's not affiliate marketer, drop shipper. Yes, drop shipper. Those people that have their own websites, they go copy product. You understand? Now a lot of them do that manually. A lot of them pay software, which I'm sure probably it might be bought software that do that for them. You understand? If you are the type, you can actually design your own bot, which is what we call data scrubbing. You can scrub from websites. You understand? Now after this, you will still know how you can use bot to post in your social media, even if you are not going to discuss it. Okay, it can be maybe when we'll be doing a random project, we can use to implement that. But everything you are going to learn today is still the same thing you will use when we'll be doing that. You know, any something of this nature has to do with creativity, how far you can think, you understand. But the most important thing is just understand the basic. Know when you pick a particular activity, what the property, how to set the property, or how to work with it. That is most important. Okay, now what I'm saying is this: after this whole class, this week 2 class, you will learn how to work with Excel, automate your Excel, take any data from any website, even if it's table, whatever data you want to extract, take it and put it back into Excel. Like save it by Excel, arrange it in your Excel. But we do that for you to copy it. Not only that, it's going to scrap it, it's going to scrap it from the website and it's going to dump it in Excel for you, arrange it in tabular form. Then after this, you will still have idea. We might not discuss it, like I said. You can decide to have 4, 5, 3, 7, even 10 Facebook groups, or any social media group. You post different content in them. Your bot can handle that. And when you finish doing your bot, you can decide to, there's what we call bot orchestrator. That is where you set the bot. Okay, you, this bot, I want you to be doing this job at this particular time, this day, this particular time of the day. Every day you set it like that, and you just go and relax. Okay, so that is why this class is very important. So why Excel automation is important is very simple. It's just for us to enable us to work smart. It's not everything is all about strength. Help us to work smart. A lot of us, even if we don't work with large data, there are a lot of people that work with large data. You can just be seeing a friend working with large data struggling, and you tell the person, what if I get you a bot that can do this for you, do that for you, and everything you are doing is going to do it for you. It's just for you to just do that, design it for the person and charge the person. Which one will reach monetization, we'll discuss it better, and how you can make the person to be using it even if the person doesn't have idea. Your is just to build the bot and to install it, let it be active on the person's system. So that one is, I think, should be in our week 4. What we so it's help us to, why Excel automation, it makes sure to work smart. There's nothing more. Then in real world use cases, I don't think we have anything to say more than that, because everything about Excel, like applying formula, working with read and write into Excel, working with large data, then that is where the robot, your bot, is going to be very, it's going to make you to work very smart and more effective. Now this third one, please, I want us to pay attention. This last part of this slide, I'm sure we are seeing the slide, which is variable, is very, very important, because if you don't understand this, when we start the first project, the first demo for this class, you will find it difficult to understand what we are doing. Now variable, when we talk about variable, what's the meaning of variable? Now variable is, in computer we call it memory allocation. Now why I'm bringing this as a topic to discuss is because when you are using activity might either serve as input, which is receiving data, or output, which is displaying data. That is the function of activity you'll be using. That is what they are going to. It's either you are using this activity to receive data, or to pull data, which is still the same thing like hold data, or you are using it to display data. Now, where variable comes in, when activity pull data from your computer or from a particular URL. What I mean by URL is, let me use the popular word, address. When it pull this data, it will store it in a variable. That is why I need to discuss this. We call it memory allocation. Now, when you put this when you store it in a variable, you are telling your computer that anytime this bot is running, there is a variable that you need to reserve so amount of space to hold this particular data. So that is what we call declaration of variable. Let me repeat myself. A variable is memory allocation. When you declare a variable, that is when you pick activity and you know that this activity is going to pull data from Excel, that means you need to declare a variable that will hold the data. So you declare a variable means that you are declaring, you are giving a name to that memory you want to allocate to that data. Hope we are together. Now, after you finish declaring the variable, then the next thing you do, that is by giving it a name, then you will now define, the next thing you will do with variable is to define the size of data, like data allocation, the memory space, sorry, define the memory space, which is what we call data type. Let me break this down again. Variable in computer, whether you are designing a software, anything that runs in a computer, when you are building it, variable is what we call memory allocation. Declaring a variable means that you are declaring the name and the size of a variable. Meaning, whenever you want to declare a variable, you will give it a name and you will mention the size of that memory that is going to take. That is why variable is very, very important. There is no software developer, RPA developer, as far as you are doing something that run on system, that you will not know how to manage memory. And when you are dealing with memory, you are actually talking about variable at the developing stage. I hope we are together. Please, before I continue on this variable, if you don't get it or you don't understand, let me just see your message, please, because this is very important. Like I said, you will get lost when we'll be dealing with variables in our activity. Okay, so please, while I'm still trying to explain more or give more example on variable, I still want to any question on variable, please, I will attend to. So let's continue. Now, like I said before, declaring a variable means give the memory you want to allocate the name, and you give the the size. Those two things mean that you are declaring a variable. Understand? Now, when you have two variables, okay, let me first talk about the size, because I mentioned that when you give it a name and when you allocate the size, giving it a name is very easy. Everybody know you can decide to call this variable, I want this variable name to be John. Okay, now you've allocated that memory and you name it as John. Then what about the space that I mentioned? Because I mentioned that you need to allocate the size as well. So in giving it a size, you now have to say, okay, John should belong to this particular type. The particular type, we call it data type. Now each data type have their own size, that once computers see that size, it will just leave that space for you. It's not that it's you that we modify, say, okay, let John be 30 or 40. Once you give it, let John be, for example, example of type or data type, we have string, we have int, we have float, we have a lot of them. We have data table as well. As we are, once you enter inside the studio, the UiPath studio, I will show you the list of data table that are there. Variable type, data type that are there. Please, when I mention data type, I'm trying to refer to the size of a variable that you declare. So like I said before, we have string. When you say John should be string, you are telling computer that this John should have a space, a size, a memory size of string. And what is string? String is a series of character, meaning that anytime you want to give value to John, you cannot give number, because string is series of character. Two, like I was explaining variable, and I said if you declare your variable, that means you are giving it a name and a size. And I gave example like you use John, say okay, memory space should be John, and you give it a data type, meaning the size of the memory space to be string. I said anything that variable is going to hold, any data is going to hold, is going to be string, which is series of character. We call series of character string, like John, goat, animal, like words. Let me use that word, words. We call it string. So when you declare John to be string, it means that you want to be putting series of character like words you want to be storing in that location. Now when you say you want John to be integer, which is int, it means that you are trying to tell computer that the memory space is going to be for numbers, not string. So anytime you now mistakenly put string in int, the computer will show you error. You will have error that you are now trying to force another type of data into a particular data name that you've already declared. So you have error. So why this is very important is we're going to be pulling data from Excel, and we are going to be storing it in what? In a variable. And remember I told you that once you declare a variable, you must give it a name and the type of the size, which is the data type. So that is why we need to understand when we say let's declare a variable that will hold all the data in Excel for us, and let's give it so data type, you will understand what it means. That's why I'm taking time to explain this for us. Okay, whenever you are pulling the data from a particular software, whether Excel or any other software or internet, you are using your activity to pull it. You have to first pull it in a variable, a variable first. Sometimes some activity automatically declare the variable by themselves. Sometimes you be the one to declare the variable and mention the data type to it. Okay, please, if there's any confusion along the line, because of break in transmission, and if there's any confusion, we can just ask questions so that we'll clear that confusion. So now another thing that we need to take note of is, let's assume we have two variables. We have John and we have Michael. John is integer, that is number. Then Michael is string, that is characters. Now these two variables, we cannot say John is equals to Michael. Like what I'm saying is this: maybe you make John to be 2 and you make Michael to be house, and you now say house is equals to 2. Computer will show you that you are working with two, you are trying to make two different variables to work together. They can't work together. In that case, if you actually want to make two of them to work together, you now have to convert one to the second one. So what I want us to take note is that is conversion from one variable to another, one data type, to another data type. Let me repeat again. What I want us to take note from this first thing I explained is conversion. That is, you cannot use John, that is int, and work with Michael, that is string. They will not work together because John is having int data type, Michael is having string data type. So two of them cannot work together. So what you need to do is to now convert, either you convert Michael to string, or you convert Michael to int, or you convert John to string. So conversion is very, very important that we need to take note of. So in nutshell, everything I've said about variable in summary is variable means memory allocation or memory reservation. Declaring a variable means you are naming a memory space, and you are defining the size. Naming is normal word. You can use any word to name your variable. Size is by use of data type, which can be either int, string, float, double. That defines the size. Then the third point that we need to take note of is the conversion. Int cannot work with string, except you have to convert that int to string, or string to int, vice versa. That is when they can work together. Now let me give a case of let me use this our today course for example. Now we'll be pulling data from Excel. Excel is made from rows and columns. So assuming the activity pull data from Excel, the activity is assuming that this data that is coming is automatically a data table. There is a particular data type that we call data table. It will take it as data table. So it means that whenever you want to declare a variable that you will put everything that is coming from Excel, you have to declare a variable that will match that data table. That means like declaring the variable and you give it data type of data table. If you are not getting it, don't worry. Once you start the practical aspect, you will understand. So please, let's take note of those 3 points about variable, because you cannot do without it. There is no software developer that will run away from variable. There is no RPA developer that will run away from variable, because they are the elementary part of when we come writing software or writing anything. But so that is it about this. I think we've used a lot of time on this, so let's proceed to the next slide. Please, if there's any question on this particular slide, feel free to ask. Okay, thank you very much. Let's proceed. Now, the first, the assignment, the during the I posted something in our platform, and I said we should try and install it. Okay, now the activity that we are going to use to work with Excel, these are the activities that we are going to be using, that we are going to use with Excel. So once we start implementing a particular task that we are supposed to do right now, we are going to use all these activity. Now, the first activity that we are going to use, we call it Excel process scope. What is it used for? Now, Excel process scope means that you want to use it to control Excel application. If you have Excel application on your phone, that you want to use it, once before you start anything, like maybe you want to make use of Excel file, you need to bring in Excel process scope first. It will be the parent container. You understand? Then the next activity I will still want to explain to us that we are going to be using here is use Excel file. Now, this use Excel file is used together with Excel process scope, because you use it to launch Excel. Then you now use this use Excel file to open a particular Excel file. So meaning that anytime you want to do a project that you want to open a particular Excel file, you need to use Excel process scope and you use Excel file. Okay, that is what even if you don't remember, I will still show you once you open the application how to remember what the Excel is used for. Okay, then the next one I'm going to talk about is read range. We use it to read sheet into data table. What this means is that you read a particular Excel sheet, then you now read it into automatically, like I said before, that when it's pulling a data from Excel, it will pull it and it will refer it as data table. So when you are reading Excel sheet, you are reading Excel sheet as a data table. So we are reading as a data table. Now, the next one is write data table to Excel. This activity, we use it to write data table into sheet. We use it to write. We understand this perfectly. Let's just try to get ourselves familiarized with this, so that when I'll be mentioning it, it will not look like a new activity to us. So we use this to write to a sheet. Let me say, for example, you have a file that contains student names. Then you use read range to read all this file. Then you have another file that contains student class, but you want to move all the student names and put it in that file. That is when you will now use write data table. That write data table will now take all the names and put it in another file. I write to another Excel. It will write to another Excel file. We'll understand better. Let's just continue. Then the next one is add data column. Now this is just, you use this to add extra column. Let me say you have class, you have time. Then you remember that I need to put score. Then you want to make both to add a column, score column for you. Then you use this activity to do that. Whenever you are working with rows and column, you use this activity to add extra column. You understand? So we're still going to talk about that. Then we have for each row. Now this for each row we call is like a repetitive task, that I want you to continue to do this for each row until you've exhausted all the rows in this table. like a kind of iteration. That is what this particular activity is used for. You use it like to repeat a particular, keep doing this until there is no more data for you. That is what this is all about. We will still, by the time, in fact, everything I'm saying here, we'll keep using them, and before you know, you will get used to them. Then the last but not the least is assign. Now this assign activity, you will use it to assign values to a variable. When you declare your variable, then you now want to make this variable a particular value, then this is what you will use to assign value. So these are the activity that we are going to use to work with our first. Remember, today's topic is Excel, automation, and data scribing. So on our first task, which we are going to build a bot to work on Excel, these are the activities that we are going to be using, or that we are going to use for this particular topic, working with Excel. Please, if you still have any question, if you don't have, I know I will ask, but I'm just trying to make sure we meet up time, if possible have extra time to utilize. So please, if there's any question, type and I will answer all your question. Okay, all right, so let's proceed to the next slide. Now this is our practical demo. We've been speaking English, we've been explaining all the things that we are going to face. Now it's time for us to now start implementing it. Remember, I sent a file to the platform. I sent 3 files. Yes, I sent 3 files. So those of us that were with our system that want to start, that want to be doing it along with me, I hope you get you've arranged those files. The first one, let me check. I think the first one is sales data. It contains, the first one is sales data. It contains there are some record in it. Then the second one, I'm trying to scroll to that particular. I know I sent some data to you, so we are going to be working with those data now. You know, if I did, why I decide to send that so that we'll get everything ready is because of time. Imagine it's now I'm typing all this sales, all this record. We are wasting our time. We don't need to do that. So I sent. So we are going to build a bot that will read a file called sales data file. Is an Excel file. Where the bot will not only read that, it's going to add extra column to it and give it total. The name of that column that the bot is going to add is going to be total. Then it will now fill the total column with, it will multiply. There is a column called quantity and there is another column called price. So it's going to multiply quantity and price to fill up the total column for us. That is what the bot is going to do. Then after that, it will now write everything, both the sales data file with the new column. It will now write it to a new blank file called results. Please, before you know, one thing is, before you solve any problem, you must understand the problem very well. Now this problem that we want to solve now, we are trying to solve a problem. Maybe a client has a very large data and this client needs to compute a total price for 2 columns. Now instead of you trying to do that or doing it manually, because you know there are some people that work with large data, they have data that contains sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3. So instead of you doing that, you can just design a bot that will just add this column for you and fill the value, like fill the column of that total with quantity times price. Then in order not to alter with the sales data, it will now going to make everything, both the record in sales data plus the total, it will pull everything and write it to another file so that it will not alter that sales data. If you want to be doing this with me, just open, if you have those 3 files like the sales data that we are using right now, we are only using sales data. If you have those files, that particular file with you, the one I didn't send result data, that result empty file. So what you just need to do now is just try to what is it called, create a and open your Excel and save it as result or anything. The most important is that just know the name and where you save it to, but let it be blank, because that is where we are going to fill everything. We are going to fill all the, just like what the practical is saying. Okay, so please, you can just do that while I'm trying to sign into my UiPath Studio. Please, now to install any package, you can either use this manage packages to install by clicking on this, then type the name. What you want to install is Excel. Okay, make sure you select where my cursor is. Make sure you select all packages. All packages. This is the first way, the normal way to install any package in your project. I'm not going to install it. I will exit this particular process and start open another one, because it's going. So now what we want to install is, assuming you want to install Excel, you just have to type anything you want to install, even if it's, for example, is WhatsApp, because you can automate your WhatsApp too. Just come here and install the package. It's loading, and so this is just the first way to do that. So let me remove this place. It will come up. Maybe it's network that is bad, because I'm even seeing that my network is fluctuating here. So let me just close this particular one. Just okay. Okay, you've seen it now. It's showing UiPath Excel activities. UiPath Excel activities. So what you just need to do is to click on this arrow. You see it now, install package, and it's going to install. Okay, that is first way to install Excel package. Now let's say maybe you are working and you are just working directly with your, you don't know that you've not installed it. Now you go to normal way to add activity. You type Excel, or anyone you want to install. Now you're going to see different Excel file, Excel process scope, Excel blah blah blah. Now anyone you click on here is going to install complete Excel package for you. But if you use the previous one, which is the pounder packages, all this thing that is here is going, it will install it automatically. But if you use this one, now this one will pick one Excel, but all these packages you are seeing, use Excel, Excel process scope, save Excel, blah blah blah, they belong to one package, which is Excel package. So when you choose any of them, it will install all these things here. Everything here is going to install them. I don't know if you understand. Use the manage package to install complete package, or pick any of the Excel activity that you've not installed, and it will automatically install the rest, because they work together. So that is how to install Excel package. And you see that it's very, very big. We have a lot of, once you install, try to install one now, it will install all this Excel, so we don't have time. So that is why I asked us to do that. So maybe as we are talking, while we start the demo, we can try to install it now. But me, I'm going to go home, and I'm going to open this test project. No. Do you want to save the file main? No. I'm going to use this test project. Now this project is like my demo project that I use to demonstrate different, but because since I'm not deploying them, so I use it. So let's go back to the business of the day, which is to build our first bot. Now, I want us to pay attention to these uh, three workflow. We can see comment out, comment out, comment out. Now, this is how to deactivate a particular a group of activities or a group of workflow. Now, this, when you click on this, you will see enable, then the comment out will be removed. Now, as you are seeing this enable now, if I run this now, nothing will happen because I've already deactivated everything. So that is why you are seeing this comment out. You understand? And I don't want everything here to run because I don't need them. I want to start a fresh workflow. Okay, so to deactivate a particular comment, maybe you don't need it, or you are trying to know, troubleshoot what is the problem, what could be the problem, and you want to do that by elimination, you can click on this button. Where you are seeing this enable, you will see disable, then click it and it will not work. So that is better. So let's continue. Now the first thing is we want to open Excel, and remember I told you that to open Excel application we use Excel process. Abi, is that the name? Excel process scope. Sorry, Excel process scope is the first thing we're going to use. We click it. Then this is the parent container to everything about the Excel that you want to automate is going to be inside this. Now we want to open a particular file, a particular Excel file. Once the application launch, we want to open a particular Excel file. So what you need to do is you use this. Do means continue to do this as far as this application is running, the process is running. So we're going to use use Excel file. That is what we're going to use because we want to use a particular Excel file. So we're going to click on use Excel file. Okay, now this use Excel file, it has two parameters. We call it two parameters. The first one is telling you, tell me the part of the file you want to use. Where is it? Let me know. Then the second one is that, okay, when I pull this Excel file for you, which name, this is not a variable, which name do you want to be using to reference it? You cannot continue to be using Excel file for all this. You need a particular name. Give it a name. It's optional. As you can see, it's already put in Excel. So give it a name that you will use and identify that particular file I pull out from your computer for you. That is what this one is all about. So let's enter. Then the second one means that, do you want to save changes? Meaning that after I finish working on this file and I close it back, you want to save changes, or you want to create if not exist. Assuming the file you choose here doesn't exist, you want to create it. That is what this one. So this one is always, you don't need to touch it, leave it the way it is. The only one you need, the most important one, is this: browse to where the file is. So we're going to do that right now. We're going to do that. Go to, I think is under RPA. Okay, then it's somewhere here. Okay, now this is it. So this is the sales data that I want to pull. So I'm going to double click on it. It will pick it now. Now, to reference this data that I want to pull, what name are we going to pull it? So we're going to give it any name. You can give this any name. This is not a variable, it's just a name to reference this particular file. So that anytime you call this name, you are talking about this Excel file activity, the file in Excel file. Okay, so we call it, let's give this name sales. Let's give it sales record. Exactly. All right. Now we need to create, remember we are pulling a file from Excel and we want to put it in a record. We want to put it in another, we want to put it in a variable that is of data table type. So now we will now create a variable that will put everything that is coming from Excel. we are going to pull it there. It will hold it for us while we are taking anything we want to take from it. So to create a variable, go down this particular place you are seeing my cursor, you see data manager, click on it, then create variable, type the name. So I'm going to give it variable, I'm going to give it record. Someone is raising hand. Okay, please, you want to ask question, feel free to ask question. I think Mr. V, right? You can unmute yourself or you type. Huh? Oh, okay, let me repeat myself. Okay, no problem. Let me go back. Let me just let me delete this particular variable. Okay, let me close this. Now, please, I'm sure everybody we are seeing the screen right now. We've already pulled this file from our Excel, from our computer, into activity called UX Excel file activity, and we've given the name to be referenced. Anytime we want to reference this activity, we use sales record. Now, like I told you, that whenever you are taking the data from a particular location, either from Excel application or website, you need a variable to put it. So we are now going to declare a variable that we will put everything we are bringing from Excel. We're going to declare a variable that will hold it for us, so that anything we need from that record, we can be taking it from that variable. So now, to declare a variable in your UiPath Studio, you use data manager. This place that my cursor is, I think we can all see it. Once you click on it, you will see this space that is, I've already declared a particular called sales DT before. So I want to declare new one, and we are going to give it a name. Okay, any name of your choice. So this one we'll call it, let's give it like record, sales record. Yes, exactly, sales record. So I'm going to click on it, then I will type the name sales. You don't give space when you are declaring a variable. It's either you use underscore, sales underscore record, or you use, is it camel case they call it, you use sales and you use capital letter, like when you want to something that has to do with two words. I'm sure we understand perfectly. Like this is how to declare a variable. You don't put sales and space record, it will not work. You just have to like either use sales underscore record underscore, like this is what I mean by underscore, like this, or you leave it like this. Now we've declared a variable by giving it a name, sales record. Now, like I said before, declaring a variable is not only about name, but you have to mention the size. So we're going to go to the size, which is the data type. Okay, so you click on size. Now, to choose the data type, see all the list of data type in UiPath Studio. Boolean means true or false. Let me explain it now. Boolean, when you declare sales record as Boolean, it means you want this sales record to hold either true or false value. If you use any other value with this while you declare it Boolean, it will not work. It will say you error. Int 32 means integer with 32 bits or integer with 64 bits. Anyone, you can use any of them. They depend on this different size. Now, when you declare sales record as integer 32, it means that you only want to be putting numbers in it. Numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that. Now, if you declare it as string, it means you want sales record to be series of character. Like you want sales record to be equals to like house, or to be equals to like paper, and they are going to be in double quote. Double quote, that is what string means. Like once it is in double quote, computer will take it as string, even if you did not define it to be string. Now, data table, it means that you want this sales record, you want this sales record to be to have a data that contain tables. you want it to hold rows and column. So meaning that if you try to use it with string, it will not work. Okay, I think I will go back to objects. I jumped that. I will go back to that. So the kind of data table, the kind of, when you declare it a data table, the kind of data you are expecting this sales record to hold is any data that has to do with rows and column. And we all know that Excel is made up of rows and column. Okay. Now, if you declare this as object, it means that you want this data to hold object like image, like other file that is regarded as object. I don't want to go into that. Okay. Now, they no need to mention iResources or array. Okay, let me say array. We don't need that now, so that, because that one need more explanation. So let's just get familiarized with data table object type, object, string, int32, and boolean. Those are the major ones that we will need now. Okay. Now, from my explanation, question time, I want us to do typing. Okay. This sales record now, please, which data type are we assigning to it? Please, I want us to answer very fast. Boolean, int32, string, object, data type, any which one? Huh? Okay, any other person? True, is it? Do we all agree, or any objection? Objection, my lord. Please, somebody say, is data table, is it data table or string or object? Which one? Which one are we going for? Me, I'm thinking it's supposed to be string. Or what do we think? Please, let's answer very fast. This person is saying it's supposed to be data table, but me, I'm thinking it's supposed to be string. Eh? Okay, somebody say it's string. Any other one? Any other person? Okay, without wasting our time, let's proceed. I think it's data table, is not string. Okay, because like I explained before, I said when you want to declare a memory size of data table, it means you are expecting a data that has to do with rows and column, tabular form. And if you take a look at our Excel, you see that Excel is made up of rows and column. Okay, so we're going to choose data table. Okay, so now we are done with this variable part. All right, please, if we are still confused, we can ask question. Remember, the first thing I do, I bring in my Excel process. From the function, the next activity you are bringing, you will know that whether you are putting it into this or you are taking it outside this container. The Excel process code means that you want to launch Excel application. So if you are launching Excel application and you need to open a particular file, it means that the activity that will open this file is going to be inside the Excel application. That is why we have this thing inside like this, because this thing is very important. Okay, it's very important. We need to know how to position our activity when it's going to be a parent or when it's going to be a child container. Parent is this Excel now. Excel process code is a parent to use Excel activities containing it. You understand? So why this use Excel now is a child to this, because it's inside this. So we need to understand when to do that. Now, the next thing we are going to do, we've already opened the application. Then the next thing we are going to use now is we are going to read the data. We are going to read every single data. Remember, what we do is we open the application, Excel application, we open the file. So we need to read everything inside it, because we cannot just tell computer is garbage in, garbage out. What you give to computer is what you're going to receive. So you cannot just say because you've opened the application and you've opened the file, so computer should know what to do. No. So we want to tell computer now that you've finished doing that, please, we want to instruct you to read the file. Read all the file inside it. So meaning that we're still going to use another activity, and it's going to be inside use file, because that file that open, we want to read all the details in it. So we come here and we click read range. Let me go back to our slide. You will see that everything we are doing right now, we are not seems that I've closed my file, I've closed my slide. I'll open it again. So we are not just using any other activity. We've discussed them before. Now this read range has two properties. Okay, the first one is telling us which data range, tell me the range of data that you want to read. Then the second one is now saying, where do you want me to save this to? Which memory do you want me to put everything I'm reading? So we're going to do that. Has headers means that the first is when you tick this particular one, when you untick it, the column header is going to treat it as a file. But when you click it, the column header, that is the first word, like the first write-up on the particular column, it will take it as a column header. Okay, so always tick this, because you know rows and column you must give the name. So leave it like that. Leave everything like this. These two, leave it the way it is, except you don't have to treat it like header. You want to treat it as the same as the file, as the data, as other data. Okay, so we're going to click on this. Then remember this, we are seeing this Excel. Okay, now this Excel, I want someone to help me to, I don't know if as I'm doing it, if anybody is still trying to replicate what I'm doing. I want someone to ask me to tell me where this Excel is coming from, this name Excel. Why is this name coming up, Excel? Nobody? Okay, let me scroll up. This is the Excel that is coming out. If I change this name now to sales data, meaning that I want this file, I want to represent it with sales data. Now let's go back. Read range. What file do you want me? What's the range of the what's the range of data you want me to? Sales data. Are we together? Now when you click sales data, it will now ask you which sheet. You know Excel is made up of sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3. It's asking me, is it sheet 1 or sheet 2? So let me go back, let me go and open that application again. Let me create another sheet. I think it's sales data. So let me open another sheet. Let me create another sheet. Now we have sheet 1, sheet 2. Now when we go back to that, to our UiPath Studio, we will see this sheet 2 now will appear as option of where we want to. So let's go back to the UiPath Studio. Okay, now the range I'm talking about is you need to specify which data you want to, the range of data you want to read. Okay, now when you click on this, you click on sales data. Now we are now seeing sheet 1 and sheet 2. Okay, now meaning that, remember I say let me create sheet 2 so that we see where this sheet is coming from. So if I want to read, assuming the data I want to read is in sheet 2, I will choose sheet 2. If the data I want to read is in sheet 3, I will choose, because everything is going to show here. I created sheet 2 in the file, in Excel file, and is now showing you how is is linked together. Okay, so now the data we want to read is in sheet 1, so we are going to choose sheet 1, not sheet 2, and we are seeing it here now. Sales data sheet 1. Now we are done with the first parameter. The second parameter says, where do you want to save to? Where are you saving to? In that case, it's asking us which memory do you want to put everything I'm reading from the Excel file, which memory do you want to put it to? So that is where we will now choose that variable we create, which is use variable, meaning that save it to variable, then we select the variable name sales record. Please, are we together? Let's go back to the task say read sales data file, add extra column, total, and fill it with quantity and price. So now the next thing we are going to, we've already read sales data file. So what we need to do now is to add extra column, which is the total. So let's go back to the studio. So we're going to, we are not going to put it inside use Excel file, okay? So we are going to put it inside this parent, which is Excel what's it called, the Excel process scope. So the next file, the next activity we are going to use from our list of activity, let me show us again from the slide, the activity write data table to Excel. So the next we are going to use now is add data column, because we want to add new column. Okay, we want to add new column. So let's go back. So we're going to click on this and we're going to add data column. Okay, so now this one is having 3 parameters: the column name, the name of the column that you want to, and the which data table. Remember that we've pulled everything in Excel in a variable name called data table. So here is where to specify which column name do you want to, what is the name you want to name, you want to give to this column. So we're going to put the name total. Remember I told you always use double quote this thing, because the series of is a string. So let it be in double column. This is what I mean by double column. So want to add total column. Then the next one is now asking us which table do you want to add this column to. Tell us the table you want to add it to. So we're going to choose a variable, use a variable, and we're going to choose sales record data table, because everything, all the files in Excel, we've already put it into this sales record. Are we together? All right, let me continue. We're now going to do for each Excel row. For each Excel row, perform this action. Now, for each Excel row, it has, okay, let's use, I think we are supposed to use for each Excel. Let me delete this. Let's use for each Excel row in data table. I think that is what we are supposed to use. Let me check the activity. Okay, for each row. So let's use for each row. Okay. Yeah, okay. Okay, now let's use it. Let's use for each Excel row. So what we're going to do now, this for each row, let's leave this current row. You can give it any name of your choice, because this is what you will use to reference a particular row. Let me say, for example, that quantity, a row for quantity. That row for quantity, you need to specify the name, the row. When you want to talk about price row, you need to use this to reference this. So this current row represents a particular row, either row 1, row 2, row 3. So you can give it any name of your choice, but I advise us to just leave it like that, so that we will not be confused. Okay, so Now let's specify in for each row in range. So we're going to choose the data table. The range of that is the range of the data. Now we are not anytime we want to reference the file, we use that variable because we've pulled everything inside that file, inside a sales record. So what do you want to do for each row? As header, let's tick the first row in the range is header. So you have to tick this. Please let me re-explain this because it's very important when you are working with Excel. You need to work with the rows. So now this for each row means that you want to iterate through the rows in that file. So for each of these rows, you want to perform a particular operation. So what you need to do is pick this for each Excel row, give it a name or you leave it like that, then specify the data that you want to loop through, which is the file, that the variable, the variable we created to put all the Excel data inside. This activity is used to assign value to a variable. Here is it, assign. So we are going to use this assign activity so that I can assign that value. And let's speak it so that we understand better. No need to speak much English. Now we've picked this assign value. So now this assign value has two properties. The first property is telling us where do you want to save to and the value to save. Now we want to save to total, a column named total, and we want the value of this column named total to be quantity, column quantity times price quantity. So let's do that together. Now remember that we are iterating, like we are moving from one row to row 1, row 2, row 3, and we are using this current row to represent each row that we are looping through, that we are iterating through. So now if we want to iterate through what is it called, quantity. I don't know whether I should open the file so that we'll see it better. Let me open the file. We have, this is the file. We have product, we have quantity, and we have price. So what we want to do now, we created another column here that is called total. Now this total is going to multiply 10 times 5,000, 25 times 2,500, 15 times 15, just like that. That is what that particular thing is going to do. So now we are now using that for each to iterate so that I can be able to move from 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 till there's no more value again to work with. That is why we are using that for each row in this data table. Do this. What do we want it to do? We assign a value to total. Let me go back to the studio again. For each row in this sales record, assign value to be this. So let's specify the value. We choose current row. Where are we getting this current row for? We are representing this current row, we are getting it from for each, because we are representing this current row is representing each row in this sales record. Now for each row, then the next thing we'll specify is to specify the column, which is total column. Let it be in quotation mark, total. Okay, Then we are done with this. Now we, for each current row, locate a column called total, which is the one we created above, and let it to be equals to this. Then we want to assign the value. What value? Quantity times price value. That is what we want to assign to it. Please, one thing that we need to understand in this, everything we are using in this project, they are the most important file activity you will be using when you are working with Excel. So even if you are not getting it now, try to rewatch the video, you will get it, because all these activities we are reading from Excel and we will be writing to Excel, which are the two important things you will be doing with Excel. Either you read from Excel or you write to Excel. Okay, the additional knowledge is how to now add extra column and how to perform little operation. So that is why we need to understand. I'm going to give summary of what we are supposed to achieve in this project, so that when you want to do something similar, you will be able to use the knowledge of what you've gained from this project to apply it in the next. You understand? It will not look like copy and paste. Just understand the use of those activities, all the activities, understand their use. Now let's continue. Now we want to give this total a column. Now you need to expand this, let it be big, because we're going to write something now. Okay, now we want to write something. What are we writing? We want to multiply quantity column times price column. Now remember that the data we are working with, everything that is coming from, let me close this. Let me go back to where we define this total. I made a mistake there. Column name total. So let me click on it. Now when we define this column name total, we are supposed to give it data type, because every column that is coming from Excel belongs to a particular data type. So when you are adding new column, you are supposed to give that column data type. So to give it a data type, maybe you are adding a column, you are using this add data column. Once you want to give that column, you want to give it a name, you click on it and you go to property. This place that my cursor is, I'm going to do that so that the voice will match. This place that the cursor is, then take it to data type argument. Type argument. Then click on this, change this from object. Since what you want this total, sorry, I made a mistake. Oh, you see, the total is not correct. I think it's correct now. So let me go back. The total is correct now. Initially it's not correct, so assuming I didn't come back to this place, we'll have error. So let's go back to the property. This is the property of this add data column. I'm in the property area. So we need to locate type argument. We are seeing it, type argument. So this type argument will enable us to change the data type of this total column, this whole column. Since the kind of data that this column will contain is just number 25, 35, because when you multiply quantity and this thing now is number you will get. So we need to change it to 32. Int 32, meaning that this total column that we are adding is of a type int 32. Let's continue. So let's go back to where we are. The row that has column total, let the variable becomes, let's define what the value is going to be. The value is going to be. Now, from the beginning, I told you about declaring variable. I mentioned the name, give variable a name, give variable data size, which is the data type, then conversion from one data type to another. Now, every data that is coming from the Excel, each column is automatically a data type. Data table data type. Let me repeat. the column, we have product column, quantity column, and price column that is coming from Excel. They belong to a data type called data table. Now you cannot make int to be equal to data table value. I don't know if you understand. I said that from the beginning. We have total. This total is of a type int. Now we want to assign, you want the value of this total to be another data type of data table. There will be error. So in that case, now we need to convert Excel, that data table, we need to convert it to int so that there will be no problem. Let me type it so that we understand. So let's say convert, we have convert dot, this is how to convert from one data table to another data table. If you write convert, you write dot. If it is date and time you want to convert to, you choose date and time. If it is double, you choose double. But what we want to convert to is int 32, because int 32 is what this thing is all about. So convert to int 32. Then you let it be inside the parenthesis. Now what do you want to convert? We want to convert a row with a column of quantity to int 32. So let's put current row. Why is it not showing? I don't know why it's not showing. It's supposed to show that as option. So okay, let me do it like this. Let me say current row and this. Let me just show us something. Current row. The current row we are talking about is quantity. This quantity here is what we are talking about, quantity. Make sure the spelling is the same so that you will not get error, and let it be inside double quotation because it's a string. Okay, quantity times current row again, price inside column. Let's go look at it again. Price, you can just copy it so that you will not do mistake and paste it here. Now this is what we are doing. Now this one, now we are just doing it directly, we are not converting. Now when you save, you have error. Even if you run it, we are going to, it's going to show us that we are trying to convert. If it's not from this error side, it will show us that SIAM disallow implicit conversion. So meaning that even if we run it now, we will have problem with error. Now what is this error talking about? It's telling that you are trying to put another data table into different data table. They are not the same type, so they will not work together like I've explained before. So that is why this error is showing. Now let's now go and do conversion. So what we need to do now, we need to convert this into this total data table. Remember, the total data table is data type, sorry, is int 32. So we have to convert this to int 32. Please, if you are not following up, don't worry, you're going to get it. So let's go back. Let's just type convert to int 32. Then we put this and this inside parenthesis, close it. Good. Now we've converted this quantity row, this quantity column, sorry, we've converted to int 32. Then we do the same thing to this one too. Convert dot int 32. Anything you want to convert to, you see there. convert to in32. If it is double, you see double. If it is float, you see float. Now we've done the conversion. Oops, it's still showing error. Overload resolution. Let me check that. Convert to in32, current row times convert to in30, current row price. Maybe one will run it. So let's finalize the last part, which is to write. So we are going to write. Let's write to the. So we are going to use write data table to Excel. That is what we are going to use. So what do we want to write? Now we are going to write to another Excel file. So we'll locate. Okay, what do you want to write? We want to write a record, sales record data table. Then destination, we want to put it in another file. Okay, sorry. I need to use, before we bring that, we need to bring in another file because we want to use another Excel file. So we need to use this use Excel file, because we are bringing it another Excel file, new file that we want to write to. So let's locate the file name. Please, I want to be a little bit fast because we are taking longer than the way this class is supposed to be. So I want to be a little bit faster because we are too slow. So I want to write to results. So I want to give it a name, results. Okay, so let me open that result file so that we'll see it by ourselves. This is the result file. So I want to, let me just clear this sheet one. Let me save it. Okay. Now I want to reference it as save changes. So now after that, so I've already picked another Excel file that I want to write to. So let me now use this write. Please, we'll go back to that error again. Write. Okay, write to Excel file. That is what we want to do. That particular, where is that particular file? Write to Excel file, right? Write data table to Excel file. Let's go back to the assignment. Let's see if that is what we are supposed to use. Okay, write data table to Excel file. So we're going to pick. Now it's asking us what to write. So what do you want to write? We want to write results, and we are indicating sheet 1. We have two sheets, output sheet and sheet 1. So we want to write. Okay, what to write? We are writing sales record, sorry. Then destination, where do you want to write it to? We are writing to result, a file, the file we pull, which is result, and we are making it to be sheet 2. Okay, are we going to exclude header? No. So leave everything like this. So now we are done with this project. Please, this has taken a lot of our time because I wanted to make it to be slow so that we understand perfectly. And if you check our time now, we see that we've exhausted like 1 hour 48 minutes, which I'm sure a lot of us, we are tired already. let's fix this error so that we test run everything and see it ourselves, and I give the summary plus the assignment. Maybe before I upload the replay, I will do the video and add to it. Okay, please, let's just bear with me. Everything is all about trying to make everybody follow up, because this is too technical. You don't need to assume that this is supposed to be like this. So that is why the whole thing is like this. We are not supposed to wait up to this period. Okay, so now let's fix this and know what's the problem, because sometimes might be from typing. Current row is want to load this. What we are supposed to use is for each Excel row. It's not supposed to be for each Excel row, because we are not working with Excel row. But when we are working with data a variable. We've already pulled all the data into a variable. So this is wrong. What we're supposed to use is for each Excel row. Okay, so I'm going to deactivate this. So I've already deactivated, so I'm going to add this back now. Let it be for each data table. For each is not Excel row, supposed to be data table row. Let me type data table. For each row in data table. This is the one we are supposed to use. That is why we are getting that error. So I'm going to specify the data table, which is this is the data table, not Excel. We are not working with Excel anymore. We've already put the file. Okay, so now for each sales record, let it be current row. Then let's now pick that assign. So I think what we just need, let me just pick the other one and put it back into this. Let me just open this so that I can delete this. For each row, assign. Okay, let me just pick it up. So now for each row in data table, then this one we can delete this. We don't need this again. Okay, so please, let's now, for each row in this data table, let the item name, each item be current row. Then assign the value total. Then let's go and perform the conversion. Convert I'm going to copy this whole thing like this. Convert. I want that thing to show so that I will not do mistake. Okay, convert so that I will not do mistake. Dot in 32. dot to in32, Ctrl V. Then we'll do the same thing to this one also. Ctrl X, convert dot to in32, open and close brackets, Ctrl V. Then we save. Now we don't have any error again. Please, we are done with everything. We need to test run our work. Then I will give summary of what we've done so far today, and I'm going to end the class. Please, let's try and watch the replay. We've taken a lot of our time, and the network is not making things to work perfectly for us. So let's run everything and see what we've done so far. Then run. Okay, now let's go and open that file. This is it. This is the file. So this file is different from the sales data file. Please let me give the summary of what we've done so far, the summary of everything. Okay, let me give the summary so that we end the class because we've taken a lot of time. Please, let's try and rewatch this. This is something that you might not, a lot of us or almost everybody, we are not, I'm sure we've lost along the way. But once you watch it, you will get everything perfect and practice along. Do it along as you are watching, you practice. Now the first thing we do, we open Excel application. After we open Excel application, we use activity called use Excel file to open Excel file, and the input state that we should choose the file and give reference to that file, which is this. Then after that, after we finish opening the application, we need to read everything in that we need to read every data, every record in that file and put it into our own variable, which is of data table type. So we now have to use another activity called read range, that we want to read this range of this data. Then the input is what do you specify the range of data you want to read, which we choose sales data dot sheet 1, which is this sales data is coming from the file we open, we pull out using the use Excel file. Then it's now asking us which variable you want to. So this variable we create here, sales record, we save it into this variable. Then after that, we've done reading the file. Then the assignment say we should create extra column and give it a title. Now there is activity called data column. We use this data column to add extra column, and we leave this first one blank. You don't need to touch it. The column name is total. We give it a total. Then the data table, where do you want to add this column? We mention the variable that we've assigned all the record in that Excel to, which is sales record. We say add this total to sales record file table, sorry, data. Then at the process of that, we change the data type to int32, so that since we are accepting only numbers, we change it to int32. Okay, now we proceed with another activity, which is a loop activity. Now this loop activity now is telling us that you have a data type sales record that contain rows and columns of data, different data. Now I want you to work with each of these value in each column and each rows and column. So that is what this each is for. For each rows in data table, for each of this row in this data table, you have to specify the data table. Where is the data table? Sales record data table. Then each of this row now, we give it a name as current row. Each row you are working with, it is called current row. If it is row 1, that name becomes current row 1. Okay, then we now assign the value to that column, meaning that we need to trace the row and the column that total belong to. Then we assign the value by multiplying quantity times price. And doing so, we perform conversion because total is of in 32. But this quantity and this price, where is it coming from? It's coming from the Excel file. It is another data type. So we need to convert it, whatever data type it is, to become in 32 so that we will not have error. Then we finish that conversion. After that, we now write everything, both the old sales record, this is the old data that contain with the new column. We write everything into another fresh file, which is the result. Then when you check a look at this, we open that file first in Excel, which is result file. We reference it to be result. Then we now need to write into this file. What do we want to write? We want to write sales record. We want to write it into this sheet 1 of this file. And that is what the assignment is saying, that we should do what? We should write to it. Alright, now that we've completed today's class, though we still have one more topic to discuss, but as you can see, we've exceeded the period for this class. So this is the assignment for week 1. The second topic that we are supposed to discuss, we're going to do that next week, and we'll still give assignment 2 for that. So here is the assignment for week 1. The assignment is student score automation, meaning that you should compute students, open Excel file by yourself, create a student score. For example, column 1 student name, column 2 student score. You do that by yourself. You impute the name, you impute the score. Then you will now create a bot that will add another column for another column that will signify pass or fail, meaning that the bot is going to check the record and see any student that scored below 50, record the person fail, above 50, record the person pass. I'm going to show demonstration in the I'm going to do another video that will do the demonstration, and I'll put the link below the replay. So what you just need to do, after you finish watching the replay for this class, you see the link for assignment guideline, then you do that. I will explain. It's just for me to explain give one particular activity and explain 1 or 2 things so that you can be able to do this assignment. So the assignment, I think I send a file to the class, and you will see student score. Now use that same file. You can use that same file, or you build your own and compute student score. Let the bot do the job by adding extra column. I think the header of the column should be, is it remark or I don't know, but I will still in the assignment, when I will be giving details guideline, I will remember what you use at the heading. But the whole thing is just that student score automation is the assignment. Add extra column and indicate student that pass and student that fail. Thank you very much, and see you next week.